7.
It's time.
It is 7 o'clock. I am going to call the meeting of the Village of Arena to order. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. And Deneen, if you could do roll call, please.
Kate.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
Melissa.
Here.
Brittany.
Here.
Beverly.
Here.
Matthew.
Here.
Kristen.
Here.
Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda is to approve the February 4th, 2025 agenda.
I make a motion to approve the February 4th, 2025 agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Kathy, a second from Kristen to approve the February 4th, 2025 agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next item is consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda will be approved in one motion without discussion unless any board member requests that an item be removed for individual discussion. If I could get a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
So I have a motion from Melissa, a second from Kathy to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is public comment, and I'd just like to remind everyone, members of the village board, speakers, and audience members must observe proper decorum. Any statements made during the meeting or during a public hearing by the village officials, employees, or members of the general public shall not involve personal, impertinent, or slanderous attacks on individuals, regardless of whether the individual so attacked is an elected official, village employee, or a member of the general public. And Paul Destina.
Good evening.
Hello.
A couple things here. Just again, as I mentioned during finance, reserve fund was what, 361,000, I believe. The budget stated it was 294. Went back to 361. Is there going to be a revised budget available with these changes? Things like that made for people to see. Okay.
Sheriff, you requested.
A revised budget. The new budget.
I didn't hear what you said, didn't you?
If he wants to make a public records request, it'll be there.
Okay. On the finance committee agenda, 4G, set up of capital fund. I see that it's not on the board agenda. Board members, do they get all the committee agendas and packets from all the committees?
No.
They don't, okay. Then I guess lastly, on the Pine Street, Pine deal, road deal, Kathy, there really is a conflict of interest. Do work on it, but as far as voting, you own 2 pieces of property on there, your sister and brother-in-law own another piece, so
That's not a conflict.
won't be, that's a conflict.
It's a conflict.
So,
No, it isn't.
that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is speakers. Zach Adams, MSA, update on projects, well house number 2.
Good evening, everybody. No action items for today's meeting, just some updates on where we stand with the projects. For well house number 2, I spoke with Craig this morning. We are 1 AIS certificate short of being able to send it out to the DNR. They came back and sent us a revised copy. The revised copy still didn't have all the information we needed on it, so he's reaching back out to them, but everything else is ready to go to be sent to the DNR outside of that one item. Once we get the DNR's acceptance of the AIS certificates, then we can go out and do a final change order and pay application to close out CCJ's contract. And then second thing on there is that last week, Rich and I went around the village surveying and recording locations of all the new structures and components installed with the projects so we can update the maps. So we had a budgeted item for it. I used that time to also train Rich on how to operate the equipment. The equipment to record this data is village owned, but Rich has never had experience with that. So I kind of walked him through the process of how to record the data and how to update the maps online, and he was able to do some of that himself just the other day. So that'd be the hope going forward, is that obviously we can build it into our contracts to do it, but then Rich to do it himself too, especially when it comes to more like private development things like new curb stops, clean out, stuff like that for houses, that we can get proper updated maps. The nice thing is that the updated maps will satisfy the DNR's item on this sanitary sewer survey. They ask for updated maps, so with these updates that we're doing, we'll be able to provide the DNR with these updated maps to satisfy that last item on there. For the sewer project, we are just holding on some warranty turf restoration. It said JI has submitted a letter to us stating that they will come back in the spring to complete the turf restoration per our specs, because it's identified as warranty work. So I don't see an issue with that. We also did the GIS updates for that project too. I did learn today, or finally heard back from the DNR, so you're aware, Janine, they should be wiring you the rest of the funds to pay JI on Wednesday. That final pay application for them.
It's actually the 12th
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, really?
of February.
Okay. There was a week off then. Yeah, so the project was closed out on the DNR side, or I guess we submitted all the proper documentation to close out the project. DNR accepted it. It's just in their system. They have to show that it's closed out before they can disperse the funds for it. That part was forgotten about. So yeah, so Jeremy, or the contractor, reached out to me wondering where the funds were. I reached out to the DNR and asked for a discovery issue on Friday, and so I just heard back from them today. So they only do disbursements, I think, was it twice a month. So there's certain dates they have to do it on. So that's why they said next week Wednesday. So I'll update Jeremy on that. Yeah, otherwise did those GIS updates as well for that project. Funding, just the same kind of thing where basically, like I said, we're going to be closing out the contracts with the contractors. They'll get their payment for that. We pretty much have all the paperwork and everything done for both of those. The final thing would just be village or purchasing any equipment underneath the two loans. So during the survey Rich and I did last week, kind of came up with a list of items to potentially purchase underneath the loan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the DNR to see what they're willing to fund, and then bring those items to Public Works next month, so that Public Works can make a recommendation to the board on different pieces that they would like to purchase. All right, the drainage study was approved last board meeting. We did get that pushed through our system so we can start charging time to it. I believe our goal is to have the study presented in your August meeting before budgetary time, so you can kind of weigh your opinion on kind of what routes you potentially want to go with that. And the last thing is the GIS upgrades. I know I gave you guys some information on upgrades that need to be made to GIS systems. The current one is going out of date, and they're pushing for us to move to a new platform for it. So, like I said last meeting, the cost on those, we're not too sure right now. I still need to meet with our GIS team to confirm some of those costs, because I don't think they're truly accurate based on what I know about your GIS system right now. So that's why I said my plan is to go through with our GIS to try to get a better number identified before agreeing to any action item for that. We currently have a contract that was approved, I think, last February with you guys through this year to do GIS upgrades. But that amount was only $2,500. And obviously, as it states on the sheet I provided last month, its upgrades are well over $2,500. So that's why I want to get a clear cost, and or at least have a better set cost to bring back as a potential action item, and try to identify what needs to happen now and what could potentially be pushed off until later. Because the platform switch over, they want to get it ruled out by the end of this year, but the data will still be there. So I'm hoping as we can do parts of it now and push other parts until probably next year, where we can actually budget for those items specifically. so that we don't have to pull funds from somewhere else, but just I'll have more on that later. That's all I have for right now. Any questions? All right.
Thank you,
all.
Zach. So next item is President's Report. We have nothing there. Monthly Maintenance Report.
I think, I believe we were working at, well, Troy's worked on the park on those nice days that we had to clean up some of the brush that was down there. We did cut some trees down at the archery park that the tops fell off and they were hanging up, so we dropped those trees. We got a pile of brush yet to burn, but we're waiting for the wind to die down and hopefully some snow cover. What else do we do? We're starting to do water meter change outs. And that's about it, I think. I don't know what's all on there.
How's that going, the water meter change out? Is that something is that for residents that you're
Yes.
changing those out?
Yes, in-house meters. I've actually been really good, so I think I've got 16 done and I got 2 people that haven't responded yet.
So you reach out to them and say, hey, we need to do
Yep,
this,
I go-
I'd like to.
Yep, I go I've been door knocking, and most of the time they're home, and I tell them what I'm doing, and they said, well, and I said, when can I come in to your house? I don't say I gotta do it now. I set up a time, just like I did with those lead and copper inspections, and I go down and I tell them it's gonna be about a half hour, 45 minutes. I'll let you know when I shut your water off. And then when I turn it back on, I'll holler, then you can turn the water on and let it run for 6, 7, 8 gallons to get everything going. And then I got this new tester thing. I test to make sure it all reads because I had my Steve Douster come out because we could not get one working. It would not read. He come over with his little remote control, went over there with me. Everything in the basement works. So I said, it's not a me problem. Because I was over there 3 times trying to figure out what was wrong. He said, no, it's a me problem. So them guys on the other end of the system had to figure it out. So now I just take that tester, because we had a water leak down here on Oak Street, and I did not know it till after I got it, that I do have the power to have it accessible to me. While I crawled in, first of all, I had the plumber go in there, because he was in there anyways. Well, it didn't read, so then the guy with the belly had to crawl in there, and it's not that big of a clearance. And I didn't feel, and I got in there, got it working, and then I called the dean and asked him if it was working. Then after I put that little
Is this any expense to the residents doing the meters? I didn't think so, but I just
No.
wanted to ask.
No, that was what we talked about on December to get in the budget. That's why we upped it, because all the meters are 10 years and older. And they said the plastic ones are hard to rebuild. So if you have a black plastic one in your house, in your basement, they're just gonna be replaced. If you got a metal one or a copper looking one, we'll take that down to the well house, we'll test it. If it tests out all right, we'll bring it back to your house and put it back in your house.
So how often do they have to be changed?
Every 10
Every
years,
10 years.
per PSC. I get those 3 digits.
All right.
And that's about how long those batteries last in that satellite thing. 'Cause that's what they were dying and they weren't sending signals over all the time. But right now, I think we're at 99%.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, moving on to Clerk Treasurer Report.
Pretty much the only thing of interest is Megan Curry, who's the new Iowa County Clerk, has informed us with our ICE machines that she's no longer doing programming for this voting machine effective January of 2026. So the board can either program ourselves or purchase the ES&S voting machine, which is about $15,000. But given the voting machine still has about 10 years of life, just take over the programming and then bill out the county and schools. So we'll have a little bit more upfront costs and then get that in return from the county and schools. But and more work for me, but no big deal. So that's the only change.
Janine, are you saying that if you're gonna take it over because we're buying the voting machines, or no? I just wasn't clear on that. We don't have to buy them because you're going to be the one doing
Programming
the
it.
programming? Okay. If we were to buy them, then who would do the programming? That company?
The county.
The county would.
There's 4 of us that have the ICE machine in the county. The rest have the ESNS. And she only wants to do it for everyone that has the ESNS. Her choice. That's what you get when you get new people.
Any questions, comments? Great. So moving on, there is nothing under old business. Under new business is ordinance number 2025-0204, amending 18.140.060 of the municipal code of the Village of Arena, Iowa County, Wisconsin, relating to zoning/protest.
In the League magazine, the 2017 Wisconsin Act 243 repealed the Wisconsin statute, which required a 3/4 vote by the governing body. And they changed the statute number and stated that it only requires approval of a majority of a quorum of the members elect. And that is to make new housing, make it easier for people to build. And it went into effect January 1st of 2025, but this act went into effect in 2017. And I just thought it was approved already back then, but it wasn't, so we have to update that so our ordinances are up to date.
Here we have another ordinance, and that's supposed to fall under Public Safety Committee, and yet again,
This isn't public safety, it's
but it's an
zoning.
ordinance, and per the,
Only ordinances that belong to public safety.
that's not what it says. It says advise the board on updating the village's ordinances.
Denise's right. Like each of the committees are supposed to address the ordinances that fall under them. So if there's an ordinance that addresses parks, Public Works would address it. Public Safety would address Public Works or public safety ordinances. I don't know where this would exactly fall under, unless it fell under something like Plan Commission.
Plan Commission. I'm just going back to where it's like, well, it doesn't state that. So, but thank you for that clarification. Okay.
So it's just updating it to follow state statute.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-0204, amending 18.140.064 of the municipal code for the Village of Arena.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion from Melissa and a second from Becca Raven to approve the ordinance number 2025-2004. All those this is a roll call vote.
Kathy?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Becca Raven?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item is innovation planning grant.
So back in October, I provided you the information on the innovation grant, and that's in your board packet as well, on innovation. So they have come out with the innovation grant and then also the innovation grant planning grant. So the innovation grant has $300 million to give out to municipalities. And then they came up with the innovation grant planning, which covers $3 million to hand out for population under 5,000. This is so that you can look for transfer of services. It can be a number of things. It could be fire, EMS, could be public works, could be garbage, could be road services for plowing. Whatever type of transfer of services you can come up with, they're trying to consolidate, make it cheaper for tax dollars, etc. There is no cost to the village to apply for the innovation grant planning quote. It's a pretty simple application. You just have to basically put all your information in, brief description, and a quote of the cost. So I did find Wisconsin, you see the quote in there from Wisconsin Policy Forum. They've done several within Wisconsin. currently working on the one between Middleton and Waukee for consolidation of EMS, and there's the quote there. Like I said, there's no cost to the village, there's no 50-50 share. If the quote comes back, so if the study comes back and says that you aren't able to meet their requirements, the one requirement is that you have to save the tax dollars 10%. If they come back and say that you're not going to save any money, you don't have to pay that grant back. If it comes back and says that it will save you at least 10% and you don't apply for the innovation grant, then you have to pay the money back. If you apply for it and the new board comes in and they decide they don't want to do it, you just have to pay the money back because you're not doing the study. So you're really not out anything unless you don't follow through all the way. If it proves that it's a savings. They're really busy at this point, so we probably wouldn't find out if we get the grant until late April, May, probably be more likely May. This has to be turned in by February 28th, and they wouldn't probably get to it till August or September. They said it'd take about 2 to 3 months to do the whole study because we're small.
So what would we be applying to?
Paying for their to do the study.
And it just covers everything in the village, you know, in terms of like, what, they will figure out what we could do?
For EMS, we'll answer all your questions as far as cost savings, those types of things, agreements, and give you your pros and cons, that type of thing. It's just a study. We'll report findings and represent policy options to the village officials and residents. It'll be a detailed PowerPoint versus a lengthy written report. They say it usually takes a couple of years to do. It's over 40 plus pages. I said we didn't need that for this grant. We just need to know if we can meet the 10%. Basically, they said that this is going on everywhere in Wisconsin. They've done several. And it's just the way of the future of consolidation and transferring services. And if you come up with other things that you want to do besides an EMS, there's other things you can think of that you want to transfer services, they can look into that as well. I don't know of anything that we share.
What does transfer services mean?
So it'd be example like our sewer system, we transferred to Dane, Iowa, consolidated. So that was a transfer of services. EMS, you're transferring to a different district with other municipalities. If you had your own garbage pickup and you're consolidating with another municipality to take on theirs, it would be a transfer of services.
Gotcha.
Whatever else you can think of. To save tax dollars. But it's ultimately up to you. You're not out anything.
So this potentially could help us with future planning if we continue to lack volunteers and require future consolidation of fire and EMS.
Correct. Well, not
That's
fire. I didn't include fire. I just did EMS for this study.
When does this
With
have
district.
to be done by, or when do we have to?
I have to submit the application by February 28th. It's the last round, or the third round. I provided you the facts and FAQs as well there. So
Deneen, is this an annual thing or is this just a one-time thing?
it's a one-time thing.
Okay.
It's supposed to help smaller municipalities because most small municipalities don't have that kind of money for paying for planning. Pay for that.
It's a new program, new grant program.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Or we want to make a motion on it?
Does, if we were to get this grant, does the other municipality that we're involved with have to also get the grant then? Or do they have to approve or?
They just have to respond to them and answer their questions. So, like budget information and number of volunteers, and employees, those types of questions.
I mean, I feel like if it will help us stay in business for the next 10, whatever years, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but.
I feel like it's really bad timing.
I do agree with that.
I feel like it's not gonna be received well from but from the town. It feels like it's gonna be kinda, I mean, I'm not saying it's not,
backhanded,
that it's just like, oh, I just don't wanna be
They can
ruining
apply,
any ground we have
they can
gained.
apply for it as well, if they want to. It's up to them.
At the same time, I don't want that to defer us getting help if it's available or if it is a good opportunity. But I agree, I'm a little nervous on the timing and it's just been a
Can I-
lot.
Can I ask Steve Wilkinson for his view, Kate?
We're in,
I know, I'm
we're
asking.
deliberating, so,
We'd have to do it by the 28th.
yeah, we're deliberating. I mean,
But
it's-
he's an expert on,
It's, I mean, because I see on the list, there's several things that you can.
but like he's right here.
No, we're deliberating,
Does that even make sense?
we're deliberating.
Does that even make sense?
So,
Someone help me here. I don't
is
understand.
in-
I need more information. I can't
Well,
deliberate, Kate, if I
there's-
don't have the information
But-
about whether or not this is even a necessary thing to do right
well,
now.
that's your opinion.
So this
Or
is,
your emails for
We're
you
deliberating.
said that this is the last round. They're not, this is it. It's closed after this. There's no.
Yeah, there was one due December 31st, another one January 31st, and this was February 28th, so it's the last round.
I mean, it's, like Denise said, we're not out anything.
Can we potentially move this until after we do our agenda item regarding the fire EMS agreement? Can we postpone and then further discuss this after that?
You want to make a motion to do so?
I'd like to make a motion to move item 12 to after item 17 on the agenda.
So you wanna move it to just after.
Yep, I wanna discuss it after we do fire EMS.
A second.
So we have a motion from Melissa, a second from Kristen to move the discussion of the innovation planning grant to after item number 17, fire EMS. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And next item is discussion of possible action regarding reports from the following committees, and so Public Works.
All right, Public Works, we got 2 quotes for fencing around the electrical thingy at the park. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but one of them was from Superior Fence and Rail for $49.95.92. However, that one has expired, but only just recently. So, the other one was from Quality Line Fence for $54.49 and change. And I can't remember what the change was on that one.
To be very transparent, the Superior one's from me. I did give a deal on that. I won't be voting on it, but I can absolutely reopen it at any time.
We did move to recommend that we took the Superior Fence and Rail, but since it was eliminated, we just said as long as it's under $5,000. And we recommend to the board that we go with that particular bid.
that a motion?
Oh, I will make a motion that we accept the Superior Fence and Rail quote for $49.95.92 with the caveat that it has to remain under $5,000.
With a second.
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Kristen, a second from Matthew to approve the Superior quote for the fencing at $4,995.92, and that it should remain under $5,000. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And note that she abstained.
Yeah. All right.
And the second one was walkway signs for dog walkers, which we just discussed and decided that it would be just apparently on Village Edge Road between the sidewalk and the road. People, a resident complained that there was dog poop and she wanted the village to come and clean it up. And we decided to put a dog poop bag dispenser and a sign, please clean up after your animals. And that didn't need a motion, did it? It does? We didn't make a motion in the...
Yeah, you did.
Oh, we did? Okay. I lied. Yes, we did. Okay, I make a motion that we put walkway signs for dog walkers on Village Edge Road and a dispenser for dog poop bags.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Kristen and a second from Matthew to accept the signs for dog walkers along Village Edge Road, along with a bag dispenser for dog waste. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is finance, technology, and licensing.
Dean did a great job summarizing this budget resolution in finance, so would you mind rolling through it again, Dean?
This is from water and utility, increased revenue of $22,927 due to the new well. Number 2, increase in property taxes that water utility owed to the general. Ambulance trip fees, $338, increased revenue, its payout as an expense, just to pass through. Extra interest income, $21,165, the sale of law enforcement assets, $31,753, and ARPA interest that we didn't spend, transferred to general fund to close out that account, $2,288. Expense accounts that were eliminated, $1,891, which was the village board wages, was donated to the park, those trustees. Village hall excess, $4,000 went to the AC furnace. Police department had excess expenses. Engineering, I ended up putting too much in there for Halverson, so we had to remove that back out of there again because we refunded them their excess payment of their pre-development agreement. Street lighting, we had a credit that they gave us, so we had excess money in the street lighting. Parks, we had some extra, and then the police capital was moved to fire EMS. And then the following accounts were added that we were over. The BC3 grant should be getting refunded for that. Legal was taken, was increased for the fire EMS agreement. Ordinance updates for all the police ordinance changes that we made. The mosquito spray that was purchased. The railroad, a little over on garbage and recycling. And then the outlays that the finance reviewed. Can make recommendations for changes if needed.
Questions for people that weren't at finance committee on the capital accounts? Janine also dropped in the board packet. There is a document called, let me go back out and find it. She did a capital account balances, so it kind of reconciles all of our capital accounts. It's 14B. In the board packet, that kind of shows you then with these amounts being moved in, you have the revenue, which is the budgeted amount, and then the fund balances that are applied, and any expenditures by year to kind of show them what our capital projections would be with this resolution.
I guess the question I have is if you're eliminating the police department account, how are we paying for, or where is the expense coming from?
So this is only capital. So our police capital used to be like squads.
Okay,
And so we don't have equipment. Our equipment is part of our
okay.
payment for service.
Because on this, there are two separate accounts listed, one just for police department and one that says police capital. Or maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Oh, and that's because the resolution, it's to do with one's operating expenses that weren't spent. But now we're taking some of those and moving them elsewhere versus actual capital account money. That's why.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions? So are we prepared to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve budget resolution 2025-01.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Is it Brittany?
Mm-hmm.
So the motion from Melissa, a second from Brittany to approve budget resolution number 2025-01, and it is a roll call.
Kathy?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Becca Raven?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item is resolution number 2025-02, reserves.
So what this resolution does, it kind of ties back to that capital spreadsheet in the prior one. And it basically restricts and assigns the various accounts. So our restricted assets are asset purchasers for police of $2,955. Donations fees for the archery club of $8,145. And then when you look at that spreadsheet that Deneen just gave us, our capital outlay for police that's assigned was $15,811. Technology was $9,623. Park equipment is $38,450. Fire and ambulance $9,600. Building equipment $14,348. Street machinery $116,949. Streets $137,851. Our unassigned balance is $256,411. And our tax incremental financial district number 1 restricted for TIF expenditures is $1,256,757.
Any discussion? Are we prepared to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-02.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So a motion from Melissa and a second from Kathy to approve resolution number 2025-02, reserves. A roll call vote again, please.
Kathy?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Becca Raven?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Right. Next item is Village Hall water softener.
So for that item, our water softener is no longer working. The recommendation from committee is to replace the water softener. And the estimated amount here from WIP Plumbing is $1,900. So I will make a motion to replace the water softener for $1,900.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So a motion from Melissa, a second from Matthew to approve the $1,900 from WIP Plumbing to remove the old softener and replace with the new water softener. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the next item is revised website ADA compliance.
This item died in committee. There was somebody that wanted to review our website for $500 and just tell us whatever was not ADA compliant. There's a requirement by, I forget the date, in 2026 that everything has to be recommendation from committee is to upgrade our software as opposed to spend the $500 here to get software that will enable our clerk to make our documents that we load ADA compliant. So instead of spending $500 here, we're gonna get licenses like Adobe Professional and other things for her so that she has the ability to make things ADA compliant on our website.
So was this something that we were gonna get costs for next month?
Yeah, there's gonna be more research going into it, so there's no action coming out of this. So this specific item died in committee, we're not voting on it. Well, we can vote if we want, but nothing happened with it.
All right, so moving on, Dane, Iowa wastewater, we paid bills, there are no approved minutes because we did not meet in December. So there isn't a lot, I mean, there were no violations, so that's pretty much it for Dane, Iowa. And emergency response, nothing there. And so the next item is fire EMS. And you will see that there is a statute there that would allow us to go into closed session. I am happy to announce we do not have to go into closed session. So we're moving right into consider and possible action concerning intergovernmental agreement for fire and EMS services with the town of Arena.
I make a motion that we go into agreement as the final agreement in our packet states with the town of Arena for providing fire and EMS services.
Second.
So I have a motion from Kristen and a second from Kathy to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the village of Arena and the town of Arena for the establishment of the Arena Fire and EMS District. All those in favor?
Aye.
Or aye, opposed? All right.
Motion passed.
And so we are moving back now to the Innovation Planning Grant.
So we've just executed a 10-year fire EMS agreement. And I think it's a good agreement. It's 10 years. The only concern I have going forward is to do with volunteers and staffing. We do definitely need more volunteers. I understand that the timing of discussion of an innovation planning grant is not great, but I think if we don't start to have volunteers as a community as a whole, including the township, we have to consider other things in the future. Sounds like this will take some time for them to complete anyway, but it just helps us look at all available options to ensure continuity of services for everyone if we can't get the volunteers we need to staff our EMS operation.
So do we need their plan to tell us what we need when we don't have any volunteers?
I don't know. I mean, I think that the idea behind this innovation planning grant is to prepare for the possibility of what would happen or the options that we might have if that means we're combining with other municipalities. And maybe this is a question for Deneen, if she knows whether or not that means bringing people into the current agreement or if it means that we have to look at entering into agreements elsewhere.
It can go both ways.
So
It's transferring the services, so other municipalities can come onto our area, or we could go outside.
which I think, given the fact that we've just made the agreement, or agreed to a 10-year agreement with the township, looking at trying to bring in other entities isn't a bad thing. The planning grant is just the first phase. We're not committing to the actual grant. So it's not bad to have a plan in place to see who else might benefit from joining the village and the town in the current agreement that might bring in other volunteers, might bring in more income that will ultimately benefit all of the municipalities.
I agree.
So is that a motion?
So the agreement is just to do the plan, or it's to give you money to do the combination?
Plan is just to pay for people to do the study.
And
And
they could
then,
determine that there's no savings at all. They could tell us you're not gonna save any money, they're gonna do it.
But the point is if you get to a point where you don't have any people, you're gonna have to do something.
well,
So what's their plan even gonna tell you?
I think if they do say a plan that, yes, I think, you would benefit greatly from increasing your area or bringing other municipalities in, then you apply for the actual money to do that. If it will benefit, I think it was 10%, wasn't that what it was? Yeah. If it will benefit the village taxpayers by 10%, then we can apply for the money to do that, to look at people and ask them if they want to join or find
So
out.
to actually do the combination, this grant will give you money for that, not just this plan that I did.
No, the plan is the initial $3,000, I think it was.
It's up to 100,000 for the planning grant.
Oh, okay, it's a planning grant. It's a study that they do to see if that would be of assistance to our community in terms of saving our taxpayers' money. This is my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong. And then if they come up with a report and give it to us in August or whenever it is and says, wow, this would really be a great thing for you, then we can correct me if I'm wrong, then we can apply for the grant to initiate that.
That's correct. You can get up to 10 million for that process. And its priority is given to those with public safety, fire protection, and emergency services.
So I think it would be a good idea to get the study and just see. It
And maybe-
can't kill us.
And maybe, Iowa County will go with a EMS service, who knows in the future what it might bring. Maybe we'll have to expand out further.
This is true.
So
Do we have to select just one of these categories or
Yes.
categories?
The grant has to be specific to which category.
Okay.
You can write for as many as you would like and put in for as many as you'd like, but they're each a separate category.
We could put in for like fire and EMS.
You can separately.
Cool.
I don't have a quote for fire. But
So are we prepared to make a motion?
Just because I'm not the one that actually can give them any of the information, what happens if we apply and they don't get a response? Is that
so what do you
any
mean?
negative impact on that, or?
What do you mean? So if we apply and we don't get the grant?
No, if we apply and I don't know who has to provide this information. I'm guessing someone from like the fire or the EMS department. But I don't know, like, what if they don't respond?
Well, it's a public records request. If they don't respond, then I
Oh, okay, gotcha.
take them to court to get that response if need be. But it's a public records. So.
Gotcha.
So just so that I'm clear, so what we're applying for is basically to have Wisconsin Policy Forum do the study. So it's only like 13 grand. And then does this still, if they go, yes, there's work, or we're only applying for 13 grand. There's $100,000 there, but we're only applying for 13 grand.
That is correct.
And we only do it if we get the money.
Correct.
Right. So how hard would it be to also submit for a fire? Because if we're looking, it's the same thing when I think about our fire and EMS services.
Right,
It's
it's
the
not
same
split out.
volunteers
Yes.
doing a lot of those two separate jobs. So we're kind of looking at the same thing going forward. Is that hard to do? Like you said, I don't have a quote. Would that be hard to request a quote?
I mean, I can ask them. I just kind of went with the EMS, and because they had asked if we were joint or not, and I said I know Mazo is not going out of their area, so I don't know how acceptable they would be. Whereas District 1 came to the village and was interested, so that's where that. I mean, you have to have some kind of give and take that they want to do it versus saying, no, we don't want anything to do with it. So even if they did the study and showed that it would, and they said no,
So it's that we
It'd
really
be
don't
kinda like
have
the
that
waste of-
fire
yes, I don't
Kind
have
of
any
joint.
fire
interest.
relationship.
I got you.
But we could go with Spring Green, I suppose, if you wanted to look at that way, or getting more of the town of Spring Green to come this way. I don't know.
More discussion? Or are we ready to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion. See what I'm saying? I'll make a motion to go forward with submitting the innovation grant for the specific study. What?
Innovation planning grant.
Innovation planning grant for the specific study of the Village of Arena EMS. Is that correct, or just to get in line?
Or do we also want to do fire protection?
That would be a separate request, but I think we should do both. And wouldn't it be, since we now have an agreement, it would not be the Village of Arena EMS, it would be the Arena Fire District EMS and fire. Is that not correct?
But
I pull back my motion because we're still discussing.
Yeah.
You can make two motions. You can do one for EMS, you can do one for fire. It's fine.
I wonder if we should.
Because I have to do
add
them
the
separately
fire
anyway.
quote onto it.
would you like to amend your motion to add fire to what you just said?
But does that make sense what Kristen's saying, that like, should this be coming from the village, or does it have to come from the village or the town? Because the fire district or the fire commission isn't a municipality that they recognize.
It is not a municipality. The fire EMS district is not a municipality.
So they
That's what
would
you
not
just
be recognized to be able to submit for this
Correct.
provision.
Only
But we're
village
the
or a
village
town can.
is.
Right, so it does have to come from a municipality.
Correct.
Okay.
So I revise my motion to include a separate fire study, Village of Arena fire study. for the-
Second.
So I have a motion from Becca Raven and a second from Kristen to apply for the innovation planning grant for both fire and EMS. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to personnel, there was not a meeting, public safety did not have a meeting, nor did planning commission, and so the item on our agenda for information and education is the public health vending machines. There are numbers there of how often people are using these items, which is quite a bit.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
7 Narcans.
But January was 0 on Norcan and Southern District. I feel like that's a good sign. So it went down.
It's cold.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's a great service. It's terrific.
More sickness.
Narcan's not bad to have.
No, it's not.
All right. Any more discussion on that item?
No.
If not, the next item is adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
So I have a motion from Melissa, a second from Brittany to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It is 7:54.
Got it in under an hour.
And,
Under an hour.
and, wow, the thing is signed,
Exactly,
done.
25 minutes.
Oh my God, I know. Jeez, celebrate.
We were 10 minutes in now.
Thank you, Denise.
We have a
for
fire
everything you do for
agreement.
us.
Oh my God! Now I never want to hear the word fire.